Many critics and writers are arguing that the US is currently on the decline. Those declinists stand on the solid grounds of facts that has led to the current situation in the US. One of the major declines was President John F. Kennedy's decision to launch the most destructive and murderous act of aggression of the post-Second World War period, the invasion of South Vietnam, leaving millions dead and 4 countries devastated, with casualties still mounting from the long-term effects of drenching South Vietnam with some of the most lethal carcinogens known, undertaken to destroy ground cover and food crops. The aggression later spread to the north, then to the remote peasant society of northern Laos, and finally to rural Cambodia, which was bombed at the stunning level of all Allied air operations in the Pacific region during Second World War, including the 2 atom bombs dropped in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. In this, Henry Kissinger's orders were being carried out: anything that flies on anything that moves, a call for genocide that is rare in the historical record. Little of this is remembered, and most was scarcely known beyond narrow circles of activists. Concern was so slight that there were few efforts at justification, hardly more than the President's impassioned justification that, and here I quote, "We are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on the covert means for expanding its sphere of influence. And if the conspiracy achieves its ends in Laos and Vietnam, the gates will be opened wide." Elsewhere, he warned further that the complacent, the self-indulgent, the soft societies are about to be swept away with the debris of history, and only the strong can possibly survive. In this case, reflecting on the failure of US aggression and terror to crush Cuban independence. By the time protests began to mount half a dozen years later, the respected Vietnam specialist and military historian Bernard Fall forecast that Vietnam as a cultural and historic entity is threatened with extinction, as the countryside literally dies under the blows of the largest military machine ever unleashed on an area of this size. Here he was again referring to South Vietnam. When the war ended 8 years later, mainstream opinion was divided between those who described the war as a noble cause that could have been won with more dedication, and at the opposite extreme, the critics, to whom it was a mistake that proved too costly. By 1977, President Carter aroused little notice when he explained that we owe Vietnam no debt because the destruction was mutual.